Hey guys and ladies, today for my initial assessment I've got the brand new #1 of The Invisible Man by James Tynion IV, Dani and Brad Simpson. So here we get the story of Jack Griffin, who is an unassuming lab assistant. Look at that artwork, guys. That's cool. In a scratchy... Who am I thinking of this time? Probably similar to, oh shoot, what was his name? John Paul Leon. It was very similar to what I think John Paul Leon might have done, or Tommy Lee Edwards, either one. So you get introduced to Jack, you get introduced to Kemp, his lab assistant, or well, not his lab assistant, but the other lab assistant that is jealous of him for what he's working on. He doesn't believe that he's got the drive and the necessity, love for chemistry, for biochemistry, to produce something of note. And Jack has been picked on and has inferiority complexes, but he has dosed this rat with something called monocaine. And monocaine has at first made the rat's skin translucent and then more translucent until eventually you just can't see it at all. And Jack has some darker tendencies. He wants to be successful. He wants to be world renowned. The other thing that he noticed about the rat is that the more monocaine that he feeds it, the smarter it becomes. So he says to himself, I wonder what would happen if I gave myself this. Now, this is one of the Universal Monsters titles from Image and Skybound. And so The Invisible Man by James Whale was one of the original monster titles. And it's not that he's a monster in the sense of Dracula, but he's the human monster next door. He's the monster that knows what he wants, knows how to get it, and more importantly, he's willing to become invisible in order to become infamous. He doesn't need to be seen to be heard. And so Jack rides home one night with, Flora, who is his boss's daughter, I believe. And he says that she's beautiful, but she's kind of an empty well, so to speak. You can enjoy spending time with her, but it says, beautiful, I suppose. There was a time I was interested in observing her and understanding her, but she was a shallow well to draw from, a habit more than an obsession. And so he leaves to go back to the lab, and he realizes that his mouse that's on the monocaine has become angrier and angrier because of the other mice. And his intelligence got to the point where he said, I can't brook these other dumb animals anymore. I can't stand them. So he says, well, what would it be like to strike? What would it be like? So he goes and he talks to Flora's father, and he says, I'm cooking up something. I want you to know, before I do it. And he says, I'm eager for you to see this, the end of this. I do think it should be rather remarkable. And the old man says, you'll drive me mad if you keep teasing me with it. So you get this awesome issue that for James Tynion moves along rather quickly. It's a big, thick book, and it's dense, but it doesn't drag like some of the other books that I've read from him. So I can't wait to see how this continues. And in my initial assessment of this, Jack Griffin is going to, along with his compatriots in the book, eventually become one of the better miniseries that comes out of this Universal Monsters franchise. Just like The Invisible Man, the movie, I believe Claude Rains was in that movie, became one of the greatest Universal Monsters hits in that category. I can see this book being one that people absolutely love and flock to. Between the artwork and just the story that you're getting to see, and you're getting to see, it's almost like seeing the birth of the Joker It's almost like seeing something like that, because he has these tendencies in his head, but he hasn't acted on them yet. But that's just because he's building a plan. Like he joked with Kemp at a dinner party a couple nights before, and he said, why don't I, Kemp said, why don't I get you, something to make a cocktail with, because you're always fidgeting with your hands like you're pouring ingredients and serums together, even at the table, even when you're away from the lab. And so Jack says, Kemp says, I don't even want to know what you got locked in the cupboard. And he said, oh, it's the ingredients to that cocktail we talked about. I just wanted to make sure the recipe's just right. And Kemp turns and looks at him and says, hey, don't forget, I'm a gin man. So he's not gonna be getting gin, I can guarantee you that. But in this initial assessment, I'm gonna give it an A+. I'm gonna say it's one of the best books of the week. And I'm also going to say that if you've enjoyed the other miniseries, Frankenstein, Dracula, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, you're gonna love this one. Oh, don't forget about The Mummy. The Mummy is also in there as well. All of these books have been very strong, even the ones that Tynion himself haven't written. They've all had good plots. They've all been strong contenders for horror titles, and excellent horror titles. Things that I would like to have on my shelf in trade paperback or hardcover form, as well as in the floppies. So, initial assessment, guys, definitely stay there. 2 thumbs up. If you can find it in your store, go pick it up. I don't think you'll be disappointed.